Hey friends, it's Eric and today we're poolside once again checking out the newest pool cleaner from PoolMate. This is the Hydro 4, and what's great about this, yes, is a wired pool cleaner, and also this has Bluetooth and Wi-Fi. You can connect to it and steer it exactly where you need to clean. So let's go ahead and jump into the water and see what this is all about. First off, I do want to thank PoolMate for sending this out to me for a full honest review, but this is not sponsored in any other way, as I don't allow any sponsorships on any of my channels. And in today's video, I'm just going to tell you what you need to know about the new Hydro 4 and not all the little specs that you can read on your own. It really comes down to the way it cleans my pool, and I gotta admit, I've been using this for a few weeks now, and it's pretty awesome. And I gotta admit, this is my first wired or corded pool cleaner, as I've used a bunch of battery operated ones, but this is the first wired one, and I gotta admit, I kind of like it for a certain need. And those needs really come down to being able to use the pool cleaner whenever you want. You don't have to worry about charging it up, which means if you forget about your pool cleaner like I always have, and you leave it in the pool overnight and you have a party the next day, you can still clean it even though the battery is not charged up, because it's still plugged in and you're good to go. So that's a huge benefit in my opinion. Also, the pool cleaner itself, because it doesn't have a battery, it's much lighter. Obviously, when you're pulling this out, it's going to be filled with water, but once that water drains out, when you're carrying this around, it definitely is much lighter than a pool cleaner that has a battery built in. However, it does have the power control box, which does weigh a little bit, but not really that heavy, plus the wires, so there's a lot more to carry, but they happen to be lighter, so you can make multiple trips if that is a issue to you. Plus, a pool cleaner that is corded tends to be a little bit cheaper than the battery versions without sacrificing performance. So if you're looking to save a little bit of money, then a corded pool cleaner is definitely another option to check out. So if you're still watching, let me tell you about this corded Hydro 4. It is super easy to put together. There is the 12-meter corded wire, and then you also have a 3-meter tether that comes off the robot. So 15 meters total between the robot and the power control box. Now there's a power wire coming off the power control box that you have to plug in, and it's recommended that you mount the power control box, but I don't do that personally, as there's more than enough cable for my pool. I actually just let the robot pull in whatever it needs, and there's more than half of the cable left, which I'll talk more about in just a moment. Now, once you throw in the pool cleaner, it will take about a minute or two for it to fill up with water and sink down to the bottom. Once it does that, you can press the play button on the power control box, and in a minute or so, it'll start cleaning. Now keep in mind, you don't want to throw the wire in the pool. That will lead to being tied up and tangled. You just want to have the robot pull out enough wire to get to the far parts and the deep parts of your pool. That's going to prevent it from having too much wire in the pool, which will lead to tangles. And my testing last few weeks, this has worked perfectly. There was only one time that it almost got tangled, but it worked itself out within a couple seconds. But just keep in mind, this does not have a anti-tangle cord. There's no rotator thing, if you know what I'm talking about. The connection point does have some flotation to it, but really just make sure you don't put too much wire in. That's going to be your best solution to avoid tangles. And now when it comes to cleaning, it does a pretty good job. It does clean in a regular cycle for 2 hours, and it would do the floor, it'd do the walls, and it'll come up to the top of the water line. And it's really cool with the water line cleaning that it kind of goes left and right and kind of just scrubs that water line. But I do want to let you know that in the regular mode, the 2-hour mode, it spends most of its time down on the bottom, but occasionally it comes up the wall and, like I said, the water line. But if you want to get more specific areas, there's a multiple ways of doing this. One is you can increase the time. You can have the robot working up to 4 hours in a all clean mode, so it does walls, floor, and waterline, or you can select maybe just walls only, or maybe only the waterline. Up to 4 hours is the maximum, which I thought was kind of weird in a wired pool cleaner, but that's what it is. That's the maximum that you can do. But obviously you can start the timer over again whenever you want to. Now, all that is controlled through the app. I really love this app. It's pretty simple. It's easy to use, very user friendly. You can go in there and change all the settings. You can see the temperature of the water, and you can also manually control the robot. So maybe there's one spot that you really want to clean right away. You can actually go in there and manually steer this wherever you want to. Now, one thing to keep in mind, it's not a very fast robot. It's probably why we consider on the slower side, but to be honest, when it's moving slower, it can suck up more, and it does a great job at cleaning. Now, like I said earlier, it spends most of the time on the bottom in the regular cleaning mode, so the bottom's going to get everything nice and clean, but it really doesn't have a automated path. It just kind of goes wherever it wants to go. And you can see here in this speed up time lapse, it gets pretty much all the bottom, but it really doesn't get a lot of the side or the water line, so you're going to have to specifically tell it to do the wall and the water line when it needs more cleaning of that. But it does overall a great job at cleaning. When it comes to steps though, I would say barely touch steps. Every once in a while it would go up the steps, but it really doesn't clean them at all. Obviously you can manually take it there and slightly clean a little bit, but under the regular mode it doesn't spend a lot of time on the steps. So definitely keep that in mind. Now, when the cleaning cycle is done, you're ready to have it come out, you can simply go into the app and call it to the water line. There's no hook or anything that you need to have with this because it's at the top of the water line. You just lean down and pick it up with your hand. It's really simple. You let the water drain out, and now it's super lightweight because it doesn't have a battery built in. Go ahead, take out this huge basket. I think it's like 4.1 liters, so it's on the bigger side of baskets. It does open on the top and the bottom. You can run water through it and clean it out nicely. Now, the filter that you see here is their standard nylon filter. They also have a super fine cloth filter if you want to capture fine particles, which is a separate purchase. So definitely keep that in mind if you want that hyper fine basket, which is an additional purchase. Overall, this did an amazing job. I absolutely love this wired pool cleaner. If you're forgetful like I am and you don't want to worry about charging up batteries and you just want to be able to use the pool cleaner whenever you need to clean it, this thing is always ready to go, and I definitely give it a 2 thumbs up. I hope this video was helpful. See you guys on the next one.